take my money, because everything they do, as far as I'm concerned, is just top notch. It's just, yeah, it's basically like you have your own plane and you're actually about to fly it, and you're just trying to make sure that everything is all set up properly. So you can even do a visual check of the oil level. So just checking the dipstick here and just making sure that we actually do have oil in the engine. We want to put luggage into the plane, because if we don't put luggage into the plane, the passengers aren't happy. And then if they're not happy, then we run into all sorts of issues. So let's put the baggage into the plane. Very good. Yeah, so this is the fuel check process. Grab a sample of fuel. I love that sound actually. And I love the sound when you spill the fuel. Anyway, never mind. And I think at this point we'll go ahead and hit the starter. Look at that. Look at this engine trying to start. And you can tell the battery's quite low. Oh no. Oh no, the battery. Oh, I think we're killing the battery here. Take 2. Let's try that again. Ah, battery's dead. And we're running a little bit rough there. I think that cylinder number 5 or whatever cylinder that was, and the compression's low. I'm not sure if this engine's actually airworthy, to be honest with you, but okay. We'll go ahead and just fly today anyway. Let's see what happens. We're gonna stall indicators on, stalling. We just want to kiss the pavement. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I can't believe it. What can't I believe? Well, this is an A2A Simulations product within Flight Simulator, okay? This will make you want to throw out a lot of your other add-ons that you've downloaded so far, believe me. For those of you who are uninitiated with A2A Simulations, they are, in my opinion, the developers of the most high-fidelity prop sim, civil aviation and some military aviation aircraft within a flight simulator. And they have finally brought their awesome products across to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's taken them a little while, but I think you'll see why that is in this video. And hopefully by the end of this video, if your mind hasn't been made up as to why you should get this plane, hopefully it will be. And the answer should be a resounding yes, you should get this plane. And I'll probably say this more than once in this video. I'm not being paid or sponsored by A2A Simulations at all. But if you've seen any of my previous videos on my channel, you will know that I've covered A2A Simulations aircraft previously in Flight Simulator X. Those aircraft, A2A Simulations featured heavily within those older legacy simulations, and they've only just started porting them across to, well, I will say port, but they've done a lot of rewriting to bring their simulation into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So with that out of the way, I think we'll hop inside now and we'll just have a look at this wonderful aircraft simulation of this PIPER Comanche, and just see, or Comanche, depending on what school you went to. So immediately upon hopping inside, you'll see that there's a fully modeled and rendered virtual cockpit in here. This is also supported with VR as well, and there's a different suite of settings that you can use for VR as well. And you just got their little control locks here, which is just classic A2A Simulations detail, that you can actually lock the controls, and you can just see the amount of detail that they've put into this thing. It's just absolutely, you just can't get any better than this, in my opinion, when it comes to civil aviation. And hopefully you'll see why in the course of this video as well. So you can actually see already, if I just get up close to the glass, you can see that it's actually fogging up the glass the more that we sit in here. So that's actually modeled as well. So if you sit inside the aircraft without getting any ventilation open, it will fog up the glass. So it's a good idea when you're in A2A Simulations aircraft just to open a side window. Fair warning there. So if I do that, it'll eventually clear the glass out. Now on the right hand side, you've got all sorts of cab ventilation, defrosting, windshield defroster, cabin heater and all that kind of stuff. We'll get that going as well, and I'll show you how that's actually modeled in the game as well, so in this simulator, so you can actually see how warm your passengers are and all that kind of thing. So we'll go ahead and take off the control locks here. I am using my CH Products yoke. I've got pedals and I've got my throttle quadrant as well, for those of you who are playing at home. And I've hooked all those up for the best experience with Flight Simulator. I find, especially with these civilian aircraft, having that yoke is a really good addition. to the simulation, not just the joystick, but an actual yoke. So you can see here that there's a really good sound scheme for all these knobs and levers and buttons as well. You've got this full suite of switches underneath here. You've got your magnetos as well. You've got your start switch. Obviously none of this is working right now because the battery is turned off, and we'll head into that very shortly, and I'll show you how that's all modeled as well. Speaking of, actually, if you click in the door pocket there, you'll bring up this little iPad or little tablet sort of device. And A2A Simulations have gone this way in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Previously in Flight Simulator X, for those of you old school enough to be playing Flight Sim X, you used to hit Control 3 and Control 4 to bring up these little on-screen dialogues to give you this information. But I think going this way is a lot more elegant and more integrated into the sim. Okay, so just to go through some of this stuff here, we've got pressure, we've got visibility. It's got a whole bunch of environmental info here, like headwind, crosswind, precipitation, all that kind of stuff. So you can see that all in the top pane here. Moving down, you can see there's checklists, and there's different checklists for the different situations, like engine start, taxi, run up, takeoff, climb, cruise, all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not going to pretend to actually run this plane by the book today, okay? This video is more just about doing a first look and showing you the fidelity of the simulation. Okay, so you can see in here there's a whole bunch of checklists, and I'm probably going to cover probably 50-60% of these adherence wise, and you'll probably be screaming at your monitor at home as well, or TV if you're watching this and you know a little bit about this aircraft in real life. You'll probably be going, what on earth are you doing? You should not be using the fuel pump while you're flying. That's only for takeoff and landing. Anyway, that is not what this video is about. This video is just about showing you how great this simulation is. And you can see here, there's all sorts of things as well. So you've got the cabin heat. So you can see there the passenger heat. You can see that we're actually quite cool according to that little guy there. So once we get this aircraft going, I'm going to go ahead and just turn on the cabin heat, and we'll see that he'll actually warm up. So that will show the indication of warm passengers basically. In the next tab here, we've got the controls tab. We've got all sorts of electrical switches that you can flick on and off, cabin doors, things like that. You can do cold and dark. You can do auto start if you don't want to mess around with trying to start the plane. You can set the parking brake, all that kind of stuff from this screen. I wouldn't mess with any of this myself. I'd normally do this on the plane directly. Now this next screen here is just fuel and payload. And this is basically where you set your fuel and payload. Do not use the Microsoft Flight Simulator fuel and payload dialog. Okay, everything must be done within here because everything is controlled within Accu-sim and it's externally coded. Now, on this maintenance screen, this is what I want to show you as well. This is, in my opinion, I can't see this anywhere else in the market right now in Flight Simulator. And once we get this engine running, you can see here there's the Venturi, there's the magnetos as well. So you've got left, right magneto per that little switch down there. So when you're in flight, you'll actually see the status of your magnetos as well, spinning around. You've got your power outputs, torque outputs, all that sort of thing. And the other thing that you can do as well is, apart from overhauling the whole plane, you can choose whether it's a new plane, a used plane, or an auction plane, okay? So this is something that A2A Simulations have pioneered, in my opinion. I don't think any other add-on developer had done that before A2A Sim. And what that does is it models whether your aircraft is used or not. And you can see here on the engine, on the tachometer there, on the RPM counter, it's got 1700 and however many hours on the engine, okay? Now, within here as well, you've got a representation of the electrical system. We can see that the battery is quite low there, so it might need a charge, depending on if we can get this thing started or not. We can see here as well the representation of the hours. So there's almost 2,000 hours on this aircraft. So it's not a new aircraft by any means, okay? So this little iPad device, this little tablet is quite handy for that reason. On the engine tab, you've got the engine tab, airframe tab. I'll just go to the airframe tab here actually. You can hit inspect there as I just did, and then that will actually show you that, for example, the battery has low voltage, and you can see that there's other representations here of the tires, the gears, the brake, the ailerons, rudder, elevator. All of these things can be damaged and can wear out in the course of running this aircraft. So if you land too hard, if you smack the wheels down too hard, that will damage the gear as well. Okay, so this, in my opinion as well, is another awesome little screen. You can actually clean spark plugs on this engine screen. You can change oil grades. I'm running 20W50 at the moment. You can add an oil additive. You can see your oil level here. You can top up your oil level if you want. And you've got just so many different options for servicing this aircraft. This is like the hangar view in your FSX legacy, I guess, A2A Simulations add-on. So by hitting inspect here, we're going to get a bit of a compression test, and it's going to show us the componentry status for all the different components in the engine as well. So you can see there the oil filter, the air cooling, like the baffling and the alternator, and cylinder 5. Not really that great. They're a bit worse for wear, so you can see that because they're in amber. So because one cylinder is kind of down on compression, you might notice that the idle is going to be a little bit rough as well in this. So those are just the little things that A2A simulation, and in my opinion, the big things that make a big difference to just running this plane. Okay, so the engine analyzer is the big one for me as well. So let's just go ahead and turn on the battery here, and we'll go ahead and get this thing started up. Now, like I said, I'm not going to follow the book here. I'm just going to do more or less what I believe to get this thing going. Okay, so just go ahead and select our fuel tank selection here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and just make sure we've got fuel showing. We do, so we'll go ahead and just make sure we've got full mix, full prop, crack the throttle, and we'll go ahead and turn on the fuel pump. That needs to stay running. And we should see some fuel flow here coming through shortly. Yep, 1 litre per hour, 2 litres per hour, 3 litres. Yep, we'll go ahead and just prime. So using this primer, 3 to 5 strokes on the primer when cold. We'll go for 3 today. And I think at this point we'll go ahead and hit the starter. Look at that. Look at this engine trying to start. And you can tell the battery's quite low. Oh no. Oh no, the battery. Oh, I think we're killing the battery here. I think we've killed the battery. Yes. And like an idiot, I forgot to turn on my ignition. Okay, that will do it. Take 2. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Ah, battery's dead. Okay. Let's just try it without the fuel pump on. I guess we're not flying anywhere today, folks. And there goes our battery. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the battery off. We'll go into the maintenance screen here, maintenance tab. This is a bit of good learning anyway for how to use this interface. And we'll go to airframe. We can see there battery low voltage. So if we click on battery low voltage, we'll see there that it says this battery needs to be charged. So if we just hit the fix button, now that's completely charged the battery up. It's in green now. So by all accounts, we should be able to, you'll see there that it says battery's in good shape, it's putting out a strong current and holding its charge very well. So now, if we go ahead and flip on the master switch once again, go ahead, turn on fuel pump, and you can see there auxiliary fuel gauge is showing fuel as well, left, right showing fuel, very good. Okay, got our ignition in both magnetos this time, which is where we want it to be, not off. We'll just go ahead and just hit 2 more strokes on the primer there, give it 2 shots, double shot, down the hatch, and we're getting our fuel flow once again. So before we flood the whole thing, let's go ahead and try starting it again. So let's go to engine analyzer, visualizer, analyzer, and start. Yes, yes! We've started this thing up. Awesome. Okay, very good. So that is basically the startup procedure for this aircraft. Not following by the book, but look at that visualization. Can you tell I'm excited, folks? I'm excited. Just a little bit excited here. You can see here that each individual cylinder, you can see the sparks as well. There's 2 spark plugs per cylinder. You've got here your torque, RPM, power, thrust indications as well. It's giving you all sorts of information on this little tablet. I think that tablet does take a bit of frame rate away as well, so you can just close it up during flight as well. So I'll probably do that. But you can see there the idle of the engine. We're just gonna we'll just give it a moment or two to warm up, and we can see there around the outside of the pistons there, around the cylinder walls, they're in blue. That just means the engine's cold. And I've checked, we do have our oil pressure up, so that's all good to go, but the engine is a little bit cold at the moment, so we'll just let that idle away for a moment. And we can see here that we're about 6,000 feet above sea level, so really we're not at sea level here, so we're not going to get as much power out of this engine today. So I might just lean out a little bit, because I think we're going to be way too rich, and we'll probably foul a plug or 3 or 6 if we're not careful. So we'll just let that, you can see there that it's gone from blue to green there on the indication on the engine analyzer. So you can see there that engine is warming up. Now in my haste to get things going, I realized I haven't done a walk around of the aircraft yet, so we'll go ahead. Yeah, just look at that. I could actually just start and stop this aircraft all day long, just based off the way the engine rotates. Let's look at that again. I have not found another add-on within Flight Simulator that does that. Those sounds, the way that it starts and stops, you won't find that, at least I haven't found that so far with any other add-on developer, or even within Microsoft Flight Simulator with any of the stock aircraft. That level of simulation is just where things are at for me, and that is just, I know I'm gushing here a little bit, but I will say it again, I'm not being paid or sponsored by A2A Simulations for making this video. But yeah, anyway, let's just hop into the walk around here. So there is a walk around tab on the tablet. There's a Merlin Accu-sim engine that runs externally that captures all your flight airframe hours, all your damage, engine wear and tear, moisture levels, oil dirtiness, oil thickness, all that kind of stuff is all crammed into this Accu-sim, and it's stored in a separate configuration and save file. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to figure out if I'm doing this walk around correctly. I'm just going to hop back into the cockpit. What I'm just going to do is I'll just keep the battery on, and I'm just going to go hit the right arrow key on the tablet, the right arrow. I think you can go either way anyway, but whatever. I will go to the right and just make sure that we're doing this right. So you can click and drag on the flaps and the ailerons, and you can actually check to see how much damage and wear and tear is on the airframe. Okay, so once again, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys and girls just how detailed and in-depth this simulation is. And if you haven't experienced A2A Simulations aircraft before, you are in for a real treat here. So a lot of this has been available for quite some time now in Flight Simulator X and P3D, but finally it's now come to the fore for all the new guard, I guess, within Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator. So a lot of you probably haven't experienced this level of simulation before. So yes, this is a real treat for simulation fans indeed. Okay, so yeah, lights are working, that's good. And that is the reason why I left the battery and the light switches on, just to test that out. Now you've got these little tie down hooks here, these little tie down ropes on the left, right wing and the tail, so we'll get rid of those. We're just going around here to the other fuel tank here. There is basically just checking left, right fuel tanks and wingtip tanks as well, which I believe those are empty. You can see there's a healthy amount of fuel in these ones. So all of these checks are visual. And you can just use the tablet if you want, just to confirm the numbers, or you can use the gauges in the airplane. But being aviation, we like to check these things for real. That's how things are done. So this is why it's simulated. Down here, we can just check the condition of the tires, landing gear wells all look good. We'll take the wheel chock away, and we'll just go ahead and, so this is the fuel sampling, fuel check process. Drag from the bottom. Grab a sample of fuel. I love that sound actually, and I love the sound when you spill the fuel. Anyway, never mind. All looking good here, so we'll go to the front of the plane, and here is the propeller, obviously. Just checking the blades here for any chips or damage. Check the nose cone spinner, all looking good here, no damage. Actually, just quickly go back. Another thing to check is just for any obstructions within the actual baffling and the cowling, and just make sure there's no obstructions or dead birds or nesting rodents or whatever in there. All looking good. Up here on the engine cowl, you can even do an oil check. So you know how I did see the representation of the oil level before? You can even do a visual check of the oil level. So just checking the dipstick here and just making sure that we actually do have oil in the engine. Once again, being aviation, we want to make sure that there's oil in the engine, because we're going to have a bad day if there's no oil in the engine. Okay, so now that, let me just trying to figure out how to get this dipstick back. So you can run different weights of oils, like I did mention before, just depending on the weather that you're going to be experiencing within the game and the temperature range that you think you'll be flying within. Gone are the days, I guess, in Flight Simulator X when you had all these different kind of terrains and things like that you had to load in and load out. With Microsoft Flight Sim, it's all just one big world, isn't it? So really, having these aircraft, these A2A aircraft within Flight Simulator, I can't wait for them to bring more aircraft more A2A Simulations aircraft within their suite into Flight Sim. Okay, just checking the left-hand tire here, move the left chock away, left landing gear looking good. So yes, I've spent hundreds, probably thousands of dollars on add-ons for Flight Simulator X over the years, and I kind of feel a little bit gypped in that regard now, because we have such wonderful add-ons and graphics and things like that within Flight Sim these days. But all the same, I'm happy to give my money to A2A Simulations. Take my money, because everything they do, as far as I'm concerned, is just top-notch when it comes to simulation fidelity, visuals, and just realism. It's just, yeah, it's basically like you have your own plane and you're actually about to fly it, and you're just trying to make sure that everything is all set up properly. So you see, I haven't turned on the strobe lights or anything like that, and I really should have done that just to check the wingtip lights. Okay, just checking the left aileron as well, and I'm not too sure actually how much play there should be or shouldn't be in these parts, but anyway. Left flap, left aileron, just checking them, all looking good. Now come back here to the rear of the plane, rear tail section. There's a little static port which we need to check, just make sure there's nothing stuck in there like a permanent marker or something. And just making sure that tail tie down is removed. Check the elevator and rudder for any excessive movement. And then coming around to the other side of the tail and just checking the static port on that side, make sure no one's put a toothpick or something in there. All looking good. And finally, it looks like we have the opportunity to actually load some luggage into the plane. So we want to put luggage into the plane, because if we don't put luggage into the plane, the passengers aren't happy. And then if they're not happy, then we run into all sorts of issues. So we are basically mandated to put the passengers and their baggage into the plane. So let's put the baggage into the plane. Click to put the baggage into the plane. Very good. And then you can actually, if we come through here as well, you can see that they've done some nice little Easter eggs in there. You've got your nameplates and signage and whatnot within there. Go ahead and just close this up and lock it securely. I love that little key sound. Okay, back inside, and that's the walk around complete, ladies and gents. So now we'll go ahead and start the engine back up. We'll just give it a prime or so, and turn off our lights for the moment, just to not waste the battery any further. Give it another bit of a prime, lock the primer, and we should be good to go. Crack the throttle, mixture full, prop full, and magnetos this time in both, not off. That always helps. And we'll go ahead and turn on fuel pump and go ahead and start. And because the engine had been running for a moment or two before, it does start up a little bit easier. Like I said, the engine is modeled down to the last piston. Every piston pumping away is showing you, and we're running a little bit rough there. Let's just have a look. I think that cylinder number 5 or whatever cylinder that was being low, and the compression's low. I'm not sure if this engine's actually airworthy, to be honest with you, but okay, we'll go ahead and just fly today anyway. Let's see what happens. Engine seems to be firing away mostly okay. Just kidding. I mean, just kidding about we're not airworthy. I'm sure it's airworthy. We have a used plane here. It's got a few hours on it, but Just going to get these oil temps and cylinder head temps up first before we do anything, because the engine has cooled down a little bit, as you can see there. Just go ahead and turn on some of these lights here, the pitot heat. And that reminds me as well, let's get the cabin heat going. Now, cabin heat doesn't use coolant or anything like that. The engine is air cooled, so it's just using the heat off the engine basically. And you can see there the little man is still in blue, but there's a little red arrow there that says that the cabin is rapidly heating up. Okay, and I think that little guy is going to go green once he's happy temperature wise. So that's just a bit of an indication as to your interior temperature. Okay, so just want to build a little bit of heat in the engine before we go ahead and just push the ever-loving crap out of it down the runway. Oil temps are still only at 28 degrees, so we want to make sure that they get up to, I don't know, at least 40, I would have thought. Cylinder head as well, want to get that at least to, I don't know, 60 to 80, I guess. You've got ventilation in here, so I'm just going to close that side window, which I just did there, and just operate the ventilation. Now, how does this work, actually? Let's just zoom in a little bit. I think you just roll the mouse over this. Oh yeah, just click and drag. You can open the ventilation, so that should ensure that we don't have any more like fogging up. And you can see there that we are continuing to warm up the interior. And what else we got here? Oil temp is at 31. Yeah, okay. Just going to give it a few more moments, folks. 85 degrees on the cylinder head temps, so they're nice and warm. But oil temps are probably the most important thing. Cold oil is thick oil, and depending on the viscosity that you've loaded into the engine as well, that's going to affect the performance of the oil at certain temperatures, obviously, as well. So I'd imagine if you loaded a very thick oil, like 100 weight, and then you've got cool oil and you try and push the engine, you're probably going to wear the engine out. So that is, I believe, all modeled with this Accu-sim as well. Let's just go ahead and release the handbrake. And yeah, look at our little guy, he's in green now, so you can see there that he's happier, not as cold anymore. So we'll just go ahead and back off this cabin heat so he doesn't start roasting. So I'll just bring that down a little bit, don't want it at full heat anymore. So we'll just go into the maintenance screen here. You can see here that our engine is warming up nicely. You can see here the hot and cold spots on the engine as well. See the magnetos are represented. I'm just going to put the tablet away for the moment, just get stowed in that side pocket, and put on our headphones. Ah, that's better, isn't it? I feel like I don't have to scream anymore. So the headphones allow you to just experience a quieter cabin, which is fairly realistic when you put your headphones on in real life. You got your floodlights up here, you got your red lights, and you got your nose pitch. Elevator pitch there. You've got this little thing here which is like an adjustable ceiling lamp. I haven't quite figured out how to get it going yet, but you can actually click and drag it around and you can move it around. Rear floodlight, that's cool. You got these rear little vents in the corner as well. But yeah, this ceiling lamp, I don't remember this being in Flight Simulator X. So that's a cool little addition. Okay, so I've leaned out the engine a little bit because we're at a little bit of altitude here. Now, landing flaps, I'm just going to leave them, I'll just go one notch on those, I think. I think it's just one position anyway, isn't it? Not too sure, can't remember. Anyway, landing gears down, got our auxiliary fuel gauge there, looking good. Yeah, so we're about 6,000 feet, so it's going to be interesting taking off today. And 39 degrees on our oil temperature, that's centigrade, and I think that's more or less ready to go, folks. 117 degrees on the cylinder head. Air-cooled engines normally run quite warm, well above 100 degrees, like what you're used to with a water-cooled engine. The air-cooled engines will easily hit 150, close to 200 even, I think, in some cases. So anyway, 115 whatever is on its way to being warmed up. Oil temps are warm-ish enough. Let's just go ahead and pull out. Now I think that's a roadway, a highway on the right hand side. I don't think that's actually the runway. We'll see. We're at this Kingston airfield. I think it's N15, the code from memory. I didn't really pay too much attention. I just saw it was on my recommended list of airfields to try in Flight Simulator, so I thought I'd give it a go. Level of detail on the airfield doesn't seem too bad. And I just thought I'd choose this airfield today, by the way. Just checking the elevators here and the ailerons, making sure that they're working, because otherwise it will be a massive lawn dart otherwise. Anyway, let's go ahead and just take this thing off, to be honest with you. So we've got just shy of 20 inches of manifold pressure. Yep, that's better. 24 almost. yeah, we're not going to get full amount of manifold pressure here at this altitude. But RPM's nice and healthy at least 2600 there. And we are up. And that's not even 80 miles an hour, folks. That was like 70 miles an hour-ish. Rotation is normally around 85, 84 miles an hour, but that's with a heavy load. Now the air is thinner up here, but yeah, we didn't seem to have too much trouble getting airborne there. Let's just bring up the landing gear. And once we've done that, we'll just go ahead and just make sure, yep, everything's on there. Fuel pump's on, probably doesn't need to be, but whatever. Landing flaps up, and we are up. So this Piper Comanche is lovely. You can see there the manifold pressure is yeah, 22 now. So I'm just going to hang on. Let me just see. Yeah, the EGTs are quite healthy. I've leaned out because otherwise our EGTs, if I go ahead and go full reach like that, you'll see our EGTs, our exhaust gas temps, our fuel flow just goes through the roof. We're wasting fuel. EGTs coming down. So yeah, we're not getting as much power in full reach. So at this altitude, around 6,000, you do want to lean it out if you're taking off at an elevated airfield such as this. Anyway, this video is not meant to be about how to tune your engine and all that kind of stuff. This is just showing you the fidelity of the simulation, and I guess that does go along with it, you know, how I show the EGTs and things like that, how that does affect the running of the engine and the lean reach fuel mixtures and all that kind of stuff, fuel flow, how that gets affected. This aircraft does have that manifold pressure gauge though, which is not many civilian aircraft, like single engined aircraft, have that. But this is a low wing aircraft. This is not like your high wing generic Cessna kind of thing. So this is a little bit more specialized, this aircraft, the old Piper Comanche. But once again, I'm not here to talk about how to fly the plane or the plane's origins. I'm here to show you just how awesome this simulation is within Microsoft Flight Simulator. This add-on simulation aircraft anyway. So I hope you're all enjoying this little flight so far. I was thinking of doing some endless touch and goes, but I'm not sure we'll get time for that today. Like I said, this video is just meant to be more of a quick and dirty sort of first look. And you can see here, just bring up the engine visualizer. We can see here that it's getting quite warm actually. And our little guy is still nice and warm. There's been no real change in the cabin. Winds aren't too bad today. I can hear the wind, and there is a little bit of buffeting on the aircraft airframe, but nothing to really write home about. It's a nice little place to take off and just have a little bit of a mosey around. I love that engine visualizer. It's awesome. I think, is that little starter gear there as well? I think next to the flywheel that's just spinning away. That's the starter gear, that one, I'm pretty sure. The pinion gear, I think. I'd hope so, because it's not turning, and I wouldn't want it to be something like the accessory drive. You'd want that to be spinning right now. Excellent. So far so good. What I want to do is just, what I'm thinking is we'll do a little bit of a fly around, but I'm just going to try and descend now because we are letting the aircraft kind of get it. Well, I am letting the aircraft get away from me a little bit. Okay, just going to hop on into external view here. So if you're wearing headphones, please be aware it's going to get really loud in a second. Please be aware. Don't say I didn't warn you. Just going to reduce the volume a little bit on the external view there, just so that I'm not shouting at you all. And just having a bit of a look in the external view at this lovely aircraft. It's definitely a great addition to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and if you enjoy these types of general aviation aircraft, definitely recommend that you check this out. Now, I'm not flying anywhere special today, like I said. There's the airfield just down there actually, so in a moment what I'll do is we'll just begin our descent, and in future videos do let me know if you want me to fly this aircraft to any specific locales. It'd be nice to do some flyovers of some more populated areas, not just fly over this kind of barren landscape that we've got below us at the moment. I'm just heading back inside now. Oh, and just doing the old owl trick and just looking all the way back. Now, I haven't mentioned this so far, but I am actually using the Track IR head tracking device and software to actually control my head movement. Well, control my head movement in the simulator. So really I'm just moving my head very minutely in real life to achieve these different viewpoints, and it works out very well, because otherwise using the default view panning in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it's not the best experience. See, I'm literally leaning forward in my seat where I'm sitting at my computer right now, and I'm able to get a close-up view of the instruments. Now that airspeed indicator is in miles per hour, okay? So just bear that in mind. It's a little bit different than other planes, this PIPER Comanche, Comanche, in that the airspeed indicator is in miles an hour. Can you tell I'm still kind of excited? It's just adrenaline coursing through my veins here. Anyway, okay, let's bring this thing around for a little bit of a landing, shall we? I love the thrum exhaust note of this flat 6 engine. This is basically a 520 or 540, so that's a 500-ish cubic inch engine sitting out there in front of us. Now, that's not a small engine. I mean, that's what you're looking at, 7-8 liters basically in real terms, that engine size. So that's a pretty big 6-cylinder engine. No wonder it sounds, well, apart from this annoying gear buzz, which I'll get rid of right now. Yep. Apart from that, which basically is just a warning to say that, hey, you've dropped down your throttle, but you don't have your gear down. Basically to save you from landing without your wheels down. Let's just center that switch for the landing gear. Anyway, yes, I love the engine sound, engine note, exhaust note, very nice. Coming in for landing now, and hopefully we don't bin this thing, because that's not what we're about here on this channel. We like to we like to do things the correct way. So we are dropping speed quite a bit there actually. 70 miles an hour, and we're going to stall indicators on, stalling. We just want to kiss the pavement. Ooh. What does everyone think of that landing? Let me know below in the comments. It's been a little while since I've been on the tools in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I must say. I did spin up Microsoft Flight Simulator today, and it hit me with a 150 gig download mandatory update. So it was a little while before I could get this aircraft going, unfortunately. But here we are, and hopefully you have enjoyed this video so far, and we are coming up to the pointy end of the video as well. So thank you so much for watching, everyone, and hopefully you enjoyed this. If you are a aviation fan, hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you're not an aviation fan, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you are a simulation fan, hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay. If you're just watching this video for the fun of it, hopefully you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends if you like. Leave a comment below if you want to see me doing anything specific with this aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator in the future. More than happy to fly this aircraft because I love it. I have played this aircraft, like I said previously, in Flight Simulator X, and just having it in Microsoft Flight Simulator now opens up a whole new world of possibilities, and really enjoy this aircraft. So maybe I can just continue flying this aircraft. I'll have to find out where it's saving the engine hours and all that kind of stuff. But yes, it would be cool to just do a bit of a series on this aircraft maybe, and just see how it goes engine wear and tear wise. See if we don't completely explode the engine eventually. Maybe try some different oil weights and things like that. Maybe we'll have to fix the... that's annoying. I hate when Flight Simulator does that little summary page. Yes, maybe we can try servicing it and trying all different kind of additives and things like that maybe in the future. But yes, I think what we'll do now is we'll just spin this thing down, and I'll have the opportunity to experience another lovely engine shutdown. So let's just turn on the parking brake first. And you can see there is a little bit of roughness to the engine for sure. It's definitely not like a new engine. It's definitely got a little bit of a rattle to it. So I'll never that will never get old, ladies and gentlemen. Never get old. Okay, all right. Let's turn off our fuel pump, all our lights, and we'll go ahead and turn off the magnetos. And we've opened our side window already, so we won't be fogging up. And yes, I do want to show you these as well. Yes, these are the breakers. These are like fuses which can be reset without having to replace them. So these are circuit breakers. These are modeled in the simulation in this aircraft. What other aircraft models? Look at that. I've turned off the breaker for the starter and the starter doesn't work anymore. How awesome is that? Okay. Circuit breakers modeled in the simulation. How much more realistic can you get with this aircraft? Okay. Anyway, on that note, I think we'll leave things here, and really enjoyed your viewership and patronage for this one. So once again, I hope you enjoyed it as well. I really enjoy making these videos, and hopefully you enjoy watching them. So until next time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this control lock in place here so that no one can fly away with the aircraft. Just kidding. I just want to lock the controls up. So yes, that's it. That's it, folks. We'll catch you all in the next one.